Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm here to share my experiences with the 9010 MedBed 8-hour trial. I first learned about MedBeds a year ago when I stumbled upon a health show that was talking about them and showing pictures. And of course, the first reaction I had was, this is Fantasyland, this is Star Trek, this is never going to happen in your lifetime. And I really wasn't happy with that decision. And a little voice inside said, do you really want to miss out on an opportunity for amazing healing if this does happen, if they are available? And I thought to myself, no, I do not. So I clicked the link that a very nice person had posted in a group forum that I belong to and followed the directions for what I needed to do. I was very impressed with how the company set up a mini course for all of us who are interested in signing up for the 8-hour trial. You have to complete first. I think it's an excellent way to get educated and informed and acclimated to what this 9010 MedBed is about. I found that it was enjoyable to take the course. It was easy. The directions were very clear. And I thought that it was one of the best ways for us to familiarize ourselves with the med beds, but not to be overwhelmed because they presented the course in increments of information so as not to overwhelm. And I really appreciated that. So after completing the course, I signed up for the trial and started it that very night and found that I was very comfortable with the idea of taking this trial. Got in bed, said 9010 med bed and scan. And a very short time after scanning, I felt the energy. I am very sensitive to energy, so I do feel it. I felt it that day, and it was very strong, and it did something that totally surprised me because I had decided from the very beginning that I was not going to direct the med bed to areas of my body that were in great need of healing. I did that because I wanted to be able to properly evaluate just exactly how this 9010 med bed operates and what it would do without direction. So I was very surprised what happened. And that was that the energy surged to an area of my body that I had no inkling that was a issue. It surged to the left part of my face, the back upper molars, and the tooth before that. And what really surprised me the most was the sensation of the activation of the energy felt like pulling or tugging, not uncomfortable, not painful, not in the least discomforting, but it was definitely a pulling, tugging sensation. That went on for about a minute and a half. Then the energy seemed to calm down. Then it started again within the next 20 seconds, again pulling and tugging on the area. And as it was doing that, all of a sudden a word popped into my head, and that is synchronicity. And synchronicity is circumstances that are meaningfully related. And here's how it was related. Many years back, I went to a psychic fair. A psychic read me, and the first thing she pointed out was, you have something very significant going on in the back part of your mouth, on the upper part of your mouth, that you might want to investigate a little further. I completely forgot about that, but this brought it all up, and I said, that is definitely synchronicity at play here. So I was very impressed with that right away. And then the energy moved to another area, again, that I was very surprised at. It was on, again, the left side of my head, and it was above my temple, and it was a pulsing action. I would say that on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest level of pain, it was about a 1 or 2. It really wasn't very discomforting. It wasn't painful too much, but it was sensitive. And that didn't stay for too long. I would say probably about a minute. And then the energy moved to another area. And that was an area that I was hoping for, and that was in my left kneecap. I have had a lot of problems with ongoing for many years, doing many different modalities, which help really bring some relief, but unfortunately not long term. And what it does is my kneecap from an old injury flares up from time to time. It seems like it gets disjointed. I hear a pop, I feel a pop, and then I get a real intense pain that thankfully doesn't last too long, but it is very debilitating. And so the energy was moving quite slow this time. It wasn't, it was circling, but it wasn't moving very quickly. And it spent about 2 minutes in the area and then moved on to the right knee, and that's not as much of an issue as the left, but it certainly does also flare up every once in a blue moon. Then the energy actually duplicated what it did in the left knee, and then it moved to an area, another area that I was hoping for, and that is my right side. It is the neck, the shoulder, and the back. It is a rotator cuff problem, very debilitating, very intensely painful, and very limited motion or movement in my arms. So about maybe 3 minutes in, I felt the energy again being very calm, and I felt very relaxed, and it felt very soothing. I had to stop because I was very dehydrated and I had to get a drink. So I got my drink, came back to the bed, laid down on it, and said, I will just finish, I will just have the med bed finish working on the rotator cuff. And what happened was I fell asleep, deep sleep, sound sleep, peaceful dream state. I don't remember anything. I woke up after more than almost 8 hours. My trial was at that point past. I felt very energized. I felt comfortable. All the areas that the med bed worked on felt very good and fluid. Only the rotator cuff didn't feel as good. I would say on about 75% healing is what I experienced. I was happy with that. I can't say that was for the rotator cuff. I think I needed more time, and unfortunately it didn't work out that way. But I was very happy overall with the results. I am always been a person who believes in testing and taking trials for products. I feel like that's only way for me to know whether this is something that is going to benefit me. And I've always seemed to have had really good experiences with that. I have done that for many different products, and I will continue to do that because it does I do find that it does resonate with me one way or the other, and I find that that works really well. So I also understand that the 9010 MedBed company is offering a trial research program with quantum entanglement. Not really sure too much about that. I'm going to have to research that. But it sounds fascinating, and I have heard it before. I have heard the phrase in quantum entanglement before, but I'm really anxious to find out more about it. I am a person who likes to find different things to bring benefits to myself. And I think that there's so much out there, and sometimes it's just a matter of finding it. I would be very appreciative to be part of the 9010 quantum entanglement research program so that I can properly evaluate how the 9010 MedBed actually works on a longer term or more frequent basis. And if it does what I believe it will, it's going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal experience that I definitely want to be part of. I want to say thank you to the people who made it possible to have the opportunity to try this MedBed, because I think it is something that is going to change our world for the better. And I can't wait to see more about how it's going to do that. I would say that if you are hesitant or unsure whether you want to do the trial, I would suggest taking the mini course, filling that out and completing it, and then ask yourself, how does that feel? What did you feel when you learned about the MedBed? And you may find that you have a totally different feeling about it. And that would be a good way to acclimate yourself to what's coming up with the trial. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you learned some things that you didn't know, and have a good day.